Well, hey everyone. After a much longer than expected break from YouTube, I'm finally back on the road. It was only meant to be like a 2 or 3 week break to go back home and get some things taken care of. Um, but plans change. So it started back in the end of August. I had a family reunion to go to up in Nebraska, where my dad's from. But after the reunion, I went back to Kansas City to, get my dentist appointment out of the way, resupply some things, and also make some upgrades to the Jeep. And the following weekend was a high school reunion, 30 years, which was, a fun time. Um, but then the following weekend, we had to go back to Nebraska for an uncle's funeral. He was 96-year-old, so he lived a good long life, was really healthy. So rest in peace, Uncle Richard. A couple weeks ago, I tried to get back on the road. I went down to the Ozarks in Missouri and um, did a kind of a make sure I have everything, flush everything out, and just do a canoe trip, camp a little bit. The canoe trip ended up being really nice. I mean, the weather was perfect. I had waited till midweek because I didn't want to be fighting crowds on the river and stuff. There's only a handful of really good gravel bars to camp on. Not all of them have shade or trees and that kind of thing. So let's take a look. I'll start you up when I'm on the river. Well, welcome to campsite number 1. This is my new tent setup. This is a Haven hammock, and it's actually made to work as a tent or a hammock. It's also usually meant to have vertical trees, but I found this horizontal tree that works pretty well. I did have to tie off the other end to make sure that everything laid level and flat, but it's going to be interesting to see. Usually I'm camping on the ground, so you have to find soft gravel bars to camp on. But with this setup, as you can see, I can actually tie off to a tree and not have to worry about the ground. Starting to lose daylight, so I think it's time to get some food out and start cooking. All right, here we go. Got sliders. Not too bad, but to be real sliders, you need onions and stuff that I didn't bring. So, all right, I'm gonna finish up eating, and I'll pick you up in a few minutes. Well, last night was a failure. As I mentioned before, I'm using the Haven Tents hammock for the first time, and it had a catastrophic failure. Um, I don't quite know how this happened, but I think it was my original setup. Here, let me turn this around and kind of show you what's going on here. So this is the bottom of the hammock that has a complete split in it. It's a person-sized hole that goes all the way through, and so I woke up. I was sleeping in the hammock for about, I don't know, 2 hours, and I think the straps up here were too saggy with my weight on it after a couple hours. I could feel myself, on the log below. And I think that may have punctured the fabric, and it just ripped all the way through from there. Now, the air mattress also deflated completely, and I don't know if that's because it has a hole in it as well. Let's get some stuff out of the way here. So let's take a look at the let's see if there's some kind of puncture or something in the air mattress. I don't know even how to where to look for one. Oh, there it is. So yeah, tiny little puncture. Let's see. I don't know if I can get this on screen or not. So yeah, right there. That's all it took to completely destroy air mattress and the hammock. So I'm going to guess that this is the same size puncture as what was, you know, on the hammock itself. So I still have part of a trip left here to sleep, and so just like early this morning, I was literally falling out of the hammock as it ripped completely, and so I got out and I actually just slept on my tarp. So cowboy camped outside. So to say I'm disappointed is an understatement. Yeah, I mean, they advertise this product as you know, being able to use as a tent as well. And I don't know if people are camping like on grass all the time or what, but this is so flimsy, any stick would puncture it, and then you'd hang it in a tree to try to sleep in, and it would rip. So I don't know. So anyway, I'm gonna make some coffee here and start packing things up and get back on the river. It is a pretty beautiful morning, even though it's a little chilly. All right, packed back up, ready to hit the river again this morning. If I haven't already stated this, I am floating the current river near Salem, Missouri. I camped a couple nights at the Pulltite campground before reserving a canoe and a shuttle ride when the crowds died down. The outfitter picked me up at the campsite and took me upriver to Cedar Grove put-in. This way I'm able to float back down to Pulltite and my Jeep and not have to schedule a pickup at the end of the float. This trip is about 20 miles on the river and takes about 8 to 10 hours to complete, depending on how much stopping you do. So this time of year, the water's pretty low, so I have to constantly dodge rocks and trees in the water and pay attention to where the main flow of the river is, so I can keep in the deeper water. If you don't pay attention, you'll be dragging your canoe all day long. So I gotta pay attention through some of these rapids and through some of the trickier parts where there's submerged rocks like this one. Those submerged rocks just under the surface like that don't have a lot of ripples going around them, so it's hard to see them, and you're right up on them until it's too late to turn. So you gotta pay attention. And I'm drifting into the shallow water here. Let me get back here into the better water. So this river is mostly spring fed. So you can actually float it year round, and that spring water makes this river pretty clear. This water right here is that deep. So what's that, 4 feet maybe? So you'll find pockets that are, you know, 10, 15 even possibly 20 feet deep. So I'm just off the main channel, and I think I stated that most of this river is spring fed. And just an example, I'm coming up here on one of the springs coming out of a cave. I have to look up to see what cave it is, and I'll put that on the screen if I can find it. But check this out, it's absolutely gorgeous. Now this used to be an open cave 20 years ago. I haven't come up here in a long time, and it looks like the mouth of the cave gave way. Yeah, looks like erosion took out the mouth. Interesting. So yeah, it's been a few years since I've been through here. So there used to be dozens of springs just like that one, coming out of caves that you could go into and explore the caves and stuff. But because of white nose disease, they either bat barred or closed off most of the caves, so you can't go in them anymore. There's a couple that you still can go into that are either the opening is too big to block off, or there's no bats in it, so they don't have to worry about white nose disease spreading. Let me get out of this area here. And by that I mean submerged log. Can't go across that, so I got to go around it. Little bridge here. Man, this is difficult.